Hey everybody, it's Amy Head with New Perspectives for Life in Marietta, Georgia. Today is Friday, July 25th, 2014. This time is just flying on by. I hope you're having a great week and doing well wherever you are today. I thought I would share a few minutes with you. I've been telling you the last couple of weeks about a workshop series that I've been leading with my colleague, Nicole, and it's called Power Up Your Life, and we are combining some fitness training with some cognitive training, some body training with some mind training, and it's a 6-session series, and we just completed the 4th session yesterday on Thursday, so we have one more week. We're doing Tuesdays and Thursdays for 3 weeks in July. And we're really looking at kind of retraining the body to be stronger and to be more capable in what it's able to do. And we're looking at retraining the mind and the brain to be stronger and more capable and able of what it's able to do. But the question keeps coming up. It's come up some in the group, but it's also come up a lot the last couple of weeks with my clients who are a little bit stuck in their lives or in their thought process. The question comes up, well, how do I really change my thinking? How do I go from being worried and fearful to being confident and challenged and excited? How do I go from being kind of consumed by negative thoughts to being consumed by positive thoughts about myself or about my life or about my situation? And that really is the question. How do we change our thinking? So one of the sessions of this series, we actually spent talking about 4 specific strategies that we can use to retrain the brain, because basically, like we've said before, we are conditioned to think the way we think, whether it's positively or negatively. A lot of it is conditioning, what we've been told, what we've experienced, what people have kind of guided us towards. And so sometimes if it's negative, we do need to change that, because it pulls us back and keeps us from being fulfilled and really fulfilling our purpose in life. So 4 skills and strategies that are helpful to do that. I want to share those with you today. So first of all, the first skill is acknowledge. We want to acknowledge the negative thoughts. Sometimes we think that if we just push them away, or if we kind of try not to think about it, that they won't exist and we won't have to deal with them. But we know that's not true, because they creep in anyway, and they kind of find us at our worst moments, and then they really wreak havoc in our minds and in our lives. So we want to acknowledge the negative statements. So for example, if maybe you think to yourself, I don't think I can do this. I don't know that I'm strong enough to do this. Okay, if that's a thought going on in your mind, or I'm not good, or I'm not good enough, fine. Acknowledge that you have that thought. I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. I'm thinking that. I am aware that I think that. Acknowledge it. The second skill is, then we want to release it. And when I say release it, we want to release that thought so that we are not attached to that thought, because we do not want to define and attach ourselves to the negative things, to the negative self-statements, because we will become those things. So we want to acknowledge that it exists, and then we want to release it. If you need a visual, you can think about inhaling the thought and then blowing it out. That's like the visual is the exhale. Or maybe you have a balloon and you actually are holding on to that thought and then you release it. Or sometimes I like to think about if you're sitting at a table or at a desk, and you're right there with that thought, that negative thought, and then you just push your chair away and release yourself from the desk or from the table. So that's the second one. We want to release that thought, and then use the third skill, which is replace that thought with a positive thought or a positive self-statement. We want to acknowledge the negative, release it, and then replace it with something positive. So for example, going back to, I don't know if I can do that, I don't know that I'm strong enough to handle this. Okay, acknowledge it, release it, and now let's replace it with what? Maybe I've handled tough things in my life, I can handle this too. Or I'm capable of handling difficult things. I've done it before. Now all of a sudden, we're beginning to move ourselves from believing that we can't manage at all to remembering that we've managed before. It hasn't been easy, we didn't like it, we didn't want it, but we did it. So we're replacing the I can't with the I am capable and I have done it before. All right? Think about if you reflected on that over and over again, how differently you might feel than if you stayed on and on and on with I can't, I'm not strong enough. The difference is amazing. And then the fourth skill, which comes with that replacement, is to attach. Attach ourselves, attach yourself to that positive statement. Instead of being attached to the negative, we want to release that and replace it with a positive that we can then attach to. Okay? Now, those are the four skills. Acknowledge, release, replace, and then attach. That does not happen overnight. And as you are replacing a negative self-statement with a positive one, you might not even believe that positive one. You might not buy into it. You might not think it's significant enough to overcome the other one. That's okay. Do it anyway. Because the more you do it, the more you will then become attached to it. And once we can attach to it, then we really can start believing it. And when we start believing it, that's when we change. That's when our thinking changes. So think about something going on in your life. Think about the thoughts that brings up. When you're self-critical, when you tell yourself negative things about yourself, when you put yourself down or discount your abilities or your gifts or your talents. Think about something like that and acknowledge it. Yes, I feel incompetent today. Or I feel overwhelmed today. I am overwhelmed today. Acknowledge it. Then release it and replace it with I'm capable of multitasking. I am good under pressure. Or whatever it is that makes sense for you. And then over and over again, when that negative thought starts to creep in, immediately acknowledge and release it and replace and attach to the positive. I hope that's helpful. It does not happen overnight. We have not been conditioned overnight to the negative, so we can't expect to recondition to the positive overnight. But once we really intentionally make the decision that we are going to move towards that, we will. Thanks so much for joining me today. Amy Head, New Perspectives for Life. I hope you have a great start to this weekend and a good start to the week, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much.